Welcome to Action for the week starting 22 June 2020. I wanted to provide this short video this week because AgForce is about to launch a campaign leading into this state election, which we believe, and industry believes, is probably the most important campaign AgForce has undertaken in its 21-year history. These elections set the state government and the broad policy settings of whichever party forms government for the next 4 years. During that time, if the current, for example, reef regulation settings aren't reset and vegetation legislation isn't fundamentally rethought, industry will suffer, some would argue, irreparable damage. Equally, we have an incredibly positive story to tell. Queensland produces more food and fibre than it needs domestically, contributes enormously to export earnings for the state, and does so in a way that is the envy of most of the world, whether it be the way we look after our environment, the way we care for animal welfare, the way we look after our landscapes and think about the social contributions we make to our communities. What we want to do is to try and have a broader conversation with Queensland about that ahead of the elections, to help people that don't understand agriculture or who don't come from the land but have an interest in it, to allow them to think more broadly about what we take for granted in Queensland and how they cast their vote, and for all of the political parties to think more carefully about their policy settings as it relates to our industry and our communities in the lead into the election. So over the next couple of weeks, you'll see a slow build into a two-part campaign. The first part of the campaign is where we're going to come out to all of Queensland and ask Queenslanders to donate some money to help that conversation over the next 4 months. We'll do what's called a call to action, where we very clearly articulate why we think this conversation is so important, and for those that support that notion, give them a way to donate some money to support the campaign. We'll complete that by the end of July, early August, and then we'll apply that money to that conversation between then and the election. The idea is that it is an organic, grassroots campaign of conversations, where we as AgForce support those conversations through social media platforms and all of the things that we have at our disposal, but we don't lead it, we enable it. So we'll come out and do some fundraising, and then we'll apply those funds to that conversation in the hope and the belief that if we can have a different conversation, we not only influence the policy platforms for the political parties going into the election, we give people a better sense of what we take for granted but we're so lucky to have, which is a broad landscape, an industry that contributes strongly, and one that can do even more, whether it be for jobs, careers, youth, environment, etc. in the 4 years ahead. More coming out each week in Action. We hope you'll join in and be a part of this really important campaign. Thank you.